Donald Trump apparently hasn't yet realized since yesterday that when he admits to lying about secretly recording conversations with James Comey, that could cause legal problems for him. In fact, as of right now, he's still enthusiastically talking about this strategy and why it was so smart. He chose to do this on video with his favorite friendly news outlet, Fox and Friends. And you're going to see a difficult to decipher answer that could cause him legal trouble in this video.
Big news today. You said you didn't tape James Comey. Do you want to explain that? Why did you want him to believe that you possibly did that?
Well, I didn't tape him. You never know what's happening when you see that the Obama administration, and perhaps longer than that, was doing all of this unmasking and surveillance, and you read all about it, and I've been reading about it for the last couple of months about the seriousness of and horrible situation with surveillance all over the place. And you've been hearing the word unmasking, a word you probably never heard before. So you never know what's out there. But I didn't tape, and I don't have any tape, and I didn't tape. But when he found out that that there may be tapes out there, whether it's governmental tapes or anything else, and who knows, I think his story may have changed. I mean, you'll have to take a look at that, because then he has to tell what actually took place at the events. And my story didn't change. My story was always a straight story. My story was always the truth. But you'll have to determine for yourself whether or not his story changed. But I did not tape.
This just in, his story didn't change.
His story didn't change. I didn't tape, and I didn't have tapes, and I didn't tape. And then he just kept saying tape until Melania pinched him briefly, and then he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so he kept saying that he didn't tape, and theoretically, like we broke down yesterday, he could have recorded the conversations, but be wording it very carefully, that he didn't press the button, that it wasn't a tape, it was on a CD. I mean, that sort of thing theoretically could still be the case.
By the way, as I stated emphatically at this desk a few weeks ago, we knew he didn't tape it. We discussed it. You don't ask everybody to leave the room and then roll tape or any sort of recording device on the conversation you're going to have with anyone, in this case, James Comey. So it made no sense, but it was this great, again, smoke bomb that he threw to the press, and they all scurried. And
yeah, the thing in this particular case is it's not just a smoke bomb. I think it's an incendiary bomb, and he threw it in his own room, because you don't get to say, oh, well, maybe I was secretly taping this guy who's going to be involved in a court case against me. I didn't. I mean, that's tampering with a witness. That's theoretically trying to intimidate a witness. Even if he never did it, there didn't have to be anything true about it. This could come up in Mueller's case against him eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I see it and the landscape of things that could come up in Mueller's case against him as not that big a deal. But of course,
yeah, you might be right there.
But on the merits, you're probably right, which is that it nonetheless represents stepping out of bounds.
Yeah, definitely, and he really thinks that he's come up with something smart there. I mean, look, he's got the most friendly person asking that question possible, and we'll break down a little bit more about that in a minute.
Well, you're not kidding.
But he's come up with this storyline. First of all, and my story never changed, and I was told a straight story. You just admitted you were lying. The reason you're speaking is because a question about your lie was given to you. You can't say that you were being straight. You weren't being straight. You weren't telling the truth. But also, I'm trying not to be fair, because I said after the inauguration I would not be fair to him, but I'm trying to work through what he said. His new theory is that I will say I just wanted him to be honest, and he wasn't being honest, but then eventually he was honest. But there's two problems with that. The period before his supposed changeover to being honest, what is the difference in Comey's story that supposedly happened? I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Exactly, there's none.
And then the second part is, and look, then in the end, I made him honest. Okay, let's say that you're right. In his honest testimony, he said that you tried to manipulate him and tried to manipulate the investigation. You're proving he was honest. He said damning things about you, you moron.
Yeah, and of course we know what he means. He's referring to the one part of what Comey said that referred to him not being under investigation, right? But he doesn't bother to make that distinction. So what John says has truth here, in that he's sort of made this comment that would suggest that, well, in other words, all those damning things that Comey said about you, they were true. And of course, the Fox News person would never follow up that way. She's just she's a potted plant with a microphone.
Yeah, and look, what's ironic is you're totally right. All he wants is for them to come out and say that he's not under investigation. And he's willing to do almost anything to get that. In fact, he's willing to do things that will result in him being put under investigation to get them to say he's not under investigation. And that's our president.
Membership helps fund the Young Turks. You know one great thing about that? That means we're not accountable to anyone but you guys. That's why we're strong together, because we built this show around you. Come build it even bigger and better at tytnetwork.com/join.